Gold 890. David, there's a 60. Jeff Christian's in the studio.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to him some months ago on the day that the gold price jumped $50. Now he comes to South Africa and the gold price jumped $60. So we're gonna have more from him later. But you I suppose more excited about what happened elsewhere on the JSE.
Well, the whole market was strong, but it has to do with gold. I think it has to do with worries over inflation, with Bernanke now printing more money than Zimbabwe. I mean, relatively more. You know, the worries about inflation have just got everybody out of the dollar into everything else.
And this feature is brought to you by the leader in short-term insurance, providing tailor-made solutions for most of South Africa's top 100 companies. Santam, rest insured. All right, David, when last did we have a 6% jump in the JSE?
Actually, we had one. We have had in the not-too-distant past. It's a kind of volatility that we've seen. But I think what's interesting is not the one-day move that we've had, but the move over the last 2 weeks, where we've seen, I think, almost a 2,000-point recovery. So what does that take it up? Almost 20%.
Well, over 20,000, which is quite a big, quite an important level.
So, 10-15% up, yeah.
But the reactions or the actions last night in the United States seem to have driven people back into assets, just about any asset now. Gold, shares, whatever.
Funny enough, Warren Buffett in interviews last week, said that he doesn't know when this is going to turn around, but I think when it does turn around, anybody who's holding cash, people shouldn't hold cash, but should rather go to assets because of the inflationary impact of all this money that's being printed. And last night, Bernanke put $300 billion to buy government bonds or government backs. It's what they call quantitative easing. You're creating money. You're putting money into the market.
It's a fancy name for doing what Zimbabwe has been doing.
Exactly.
Just printing money.
And what you're doing, you can't lower rates on the short end. You can't lower short-term rates.
Just about.
So what you do is you now try to pull down the long-term rate by buying assets, and you also push money into the market. So you pull down the long interest rate on which mortgages are based, and most other loans to businesses are based.
The immediate reaction of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange has been, it's party time.
It is party. Resource index up 8%. You saw gold up, platinum up. Platinum over $1,100 an ounce again. Everything went up. The oil price, I think, just under 50. So it was a bonanza. It was also futures close out, but I don't think they could have pushed it that far by themselves. It had a lot to do with overseas markets.
David, we have got a clip. Stephen Kossett popped around to our studio this afternoon, and we had a long discussion, too long for the radio show, about 15 minutes. It's a podcast. It's on the site, and we've taken part of it on there. But what was your take before we listened to Stephen on the Investec results
Look,
today?
he's been fairly confident. At the operating profit level, they're doing fairly well. It's a lot of impairments, writing down assets. But, no one's ever believed that this bank was going to go in. And there were so many awful rumors around the market as far as their preference shares, as far as their debt. Alec, I got a note today from the UK about their debt. Their debt is still trading. In other words, loans, if you buy their paper, it's still trading in the region of about 20%, which is crazy. People still believe that the bank is not solidly based. And that's a completely different message that we get from Stephen. And I tend to believe Stephen.
Satrix 40 today up 6%. The Satrix Resi up 8.5%. The Satrix Fini up 5%. So a lot of people can sleep a lot easier tonight than they did yesterday. And this feature was brought to you by the leader in short-term insurance, providing tailor-made solutions for most of South Africa's top 100 companies. Santam, rest insured.